Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Hi, my name is Ronnie, and today we're going to finish up the Jack Skellington video. We have all these parts, and we need to put them all together. So give me just a minute, and I'll clear my workstation. Okay, so first we're going to start off with the eyes, but what you will need for this video, let me scroll in just a little. You will need a pair of scissors. You'll also need a darning needle, and you will need several of these pins. They help to stick your work on, say, your eyes. It'll help to hold the eyes on so you have an easier time to sew around them. You'll also need a little bit of black yarn to do his nose and his mouth. So let me get things situated and then we'll get started. I'll be right back. Okay, so first what do we need to do? You know where we change from black to white? You need to find that thing, and we need to make sure that that's in the back. So flip your work over. Get your eye patch ready. What I do is I take the inner tail and I put it on my hook. First, what we need to do, we need to take both the eyes and place them on there just to get an idea of where we want them to be. And I think I'm going to go down like 5 rows. Looks pretty good. So I'm going to start off with the left eye. And I'm going to take this little bit of tail and I'm going to stick it in and bring it out somewhere else. Then I'm going to take some of my pins and I'm going to put them into the eye and the face. I probably overkill it with these pins, but at least I know it's not going anywhere. Okay, so I have my pins all the way around my eye. And I'm just going to take my other eye and put it down and make sure that's where I want my eyes to be. Yep, looks pretty good. So now we take the tail, the long tail, and we put that on our needle, in our needle. We're just going to go from where the tail is, we're going to go down in a hole, and then we're going to come out another hole. Then we're going to go, make sure I'm in the window here. You're going to go back down in that same hole and come up inside. Oh, can you see that? Come up through the eye. Now, you have a couple choices here. You can go back down from the eye into the head, or you can bring your yarn outward and go down into the head. So that's what I'm going to do. I think it gives it a little bit more texture, better look. So I'm going to come right on the outside of the eye and go down into a hole. And then I pull it tight. And you go back down in the hole and you find your next stitch. And you come up underneath your eye behind that next stitch. And as you go along, you can pull out your pins. When doing this, go in the holes. Don't go through the work, through the stitches. Because if you split a stitch with this black yarn, you will be able to notice it. And this is all you do all the way around. Just keep going round and round. Go through the eye. Go down in the head, come out a hole. Go back down in the same hole, pull the pin out. Find your next stitch. Come through the stitch. Just keep doing this. Whoa, you can't even see where I'm at. Just keep doing this all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to finish this one eye. When I get closer to the end, then I'll come back and I'll show you how to tie off your yarn and then what to do next. I'll be right back. Okay, so once you get your eye done, you'll notice that it is, you can't notice on camera, but it is sunken in some, and that's the way you want it to look. So now, here's my last. If you find any of this stuffing pulling coming out because of your needlework, just pull it out, it'll be all right. So now we're going to go down inside the yarn, or inside the head. Anywhere, it doesn't matter. Come up. What your goal is here is to come over where your first tail is. So once you've done that, then we need to double knot it. And put it back on the needle. Of course, I have this extremely long one. And then we're going to hide some of this yarn inside the head. So go down in the same hole and come out another hole. I feel like a newbie. Haven't done a video in a while. Go down inside the head and come out another hole. So I can't go down inside the head with the short yarn. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to take this long one, and I'm going to do that one more time. So once you've done that, you take your scissors, you pull up on your yarn some, and cut as close as you can to it. And there you go, your first eye is put on. So now, now we need to do the same thing with our other eye. So first I'm going to take the short tail and put it on my needle. And come down 5 rows. And make sure this short tail comes out a hole. And we're going to make it straight and put your pins back in. I'm going to do 4 to start. I'm going to look at my head and make sure it looks good. And it does. So I'm going to put my other 4 pins in. And since you already know how to do the first eye, I'm going to let you do the second eye by yourself, and I'll do this one off camera. Once you get all the way around your eye, drag your long needle, or your long tail to your short tail, double knot them together, and hide your yarn and fasten off. Once my second eye is done, then I'll return. I'll be right back. Okay, so once you get your eyes done, they should look something like this. So now you need to take a long piece of black yarn, and we're going to do the mouth and then the nose. So first we're going to go from outside of the head, and we're going to go the third hole from the outside of his eye. Pull your yarn through, but leave a tail so we can fasten it with the other end when we come back. And then you're going to come around with your yarn to the third hole from the eye on the other side. And you're going to go in there and come out another hole. So now it's got a smiley face. Turn my body around so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so the hole you just came out of, go back down inside that same hole, and you're going to come up through a hole by the edge of his mouth. And we're going to put a little line there. And then you're going to bring your needle in, and you're going to come up another hole right by the mouth, and we're going to make another line. So you're just going to do this all the way around or all the way down his mouth, making little lines to give him that Jack Skellington look. You can put as many lines in his mouth as you want, or as little. I go a couple holes, and then I put a line. Couple of holes, and put a line. I hope that makes sense. Jack, you're just too long for this little tiny space. I hope you can see what I'm doing fairly good. I'm going to make 2 more lines. My last line is going to be at the edge of his mouth. Okay, so when I was doing Jack's nose, for some reason, the camera shut off and turned back on, which corrupted the nose. So I have taken the nose out. So you need another piece of black yarn. We're going to slide this stuff to the side. And we're going to put our black yarn on our needle. And we're going to try this again, and hopefully it don't corrupt. So you're going to go in from the head and make your way to the middle of his eyes. Remember to leave sort of a long tail for knotting together and sewing in the ends. So let me get over here somewhere. Okay, so we're going to go down in between rows 11 and 12. We're going to start on the left-hand side. If you're looking at it, you're going to come down 2 rows and put your needle in, and then you're going to go back up. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little. Okay. So right here's your yarn. You went down to the second line and went through that hole, and now we're going over to the right side nostril, and we're going to go in the hole on between 11 and 12 and do the same thing. Go down a couple of stitches, and then we're going to go in the hole and come out somewhere else. Once you think you have your nose done good, you need to exit through the hole where your previous yarn is. Okay, so that's what his nose looks like. So now we just tie these together, double knot them, and hide them in our work. And I'm going to do that off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're going to work on his jacket. So these are the pieces you need. You need the jacket part itself. You need the tails, the tail of the jacket. and then you need the 2 lapels. We're going to do the lapels first. I know it's black and you probably have a hard time seeing, so I'll just make it short and sweet. Okay, so now get your lapels and put them on the front side. You can tell where the front sides are with single crochet stitching around it. You can do the front side or you can do the back side. I'm just going to do it on the front side. And since this is black yarn, you can't really tell what I'm doing. I'm going to fasten it on with stitch markers so you know where I'm at. Okay, so what you do is you take your little lapel and you put it up at the corner on whichever side. The short corner here, or the short side, goes around his neck, and that's where you want your lapels to go, is up by the neck. So you place your lapel right there, and you put your long tail on your hook, or on your needle, and then we're just gonna weave them in. What am I talking about? We're gonna, I'm sorry. Man, this is really gonna suck when I come back and do tutorials, huh? After my arm heals, I have to start all over. So we're going to whip stitch it together. There, I think I said it right that time. And you're just going to go from the lapel into the jacket and whip stitch it together. Getting close enough, I need to take this out. Okay, so now I'm on my last stitch. I take the long tail out, and then I take this little tiny tail and put it on your needle. Then I'm going to weave it in until I get over to the edge. And then where we did all that weaving, I'm just going to weave my short tail up to the top, or you can take your long tail and go down to the bottom. So once I get to the top, I'm going to take the 2 tails and I'm going to double or triple knot them together. And then once I get that done, I'm going to weave them into my work. So go ahead and do both sides, both lapels, double knot them together, weave them in, and then I'll be back. Okay, so once you got that done, your lapel should kind of open and shut So now you need to turn your work over and get your tails out. And we're going to work along here. So you're going to take your tails and we're just going to center it in the middle of the jacket as best you can. Sorry about my phone. It's doing funny things. I might have to silence it. So once you get it where you think it's centered, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the lapels, and I'm going to put my stitch markers on it so you can tell where mine is. Besides, it holds it together, makes it a little easier. Okay, so let's look at it now. That looks good. So now I'm going to take the long tail. Wow, that's a really long tail. From the tails, and I'm going to put it on my needle. And we're just going to whip stitch this together too. So just go through both stitches on the tail, whoops, and on the jacket. And whip stitch it together. So I'm assuming that you know how to whip stitch. You just go in one, go underneath the stitch on the tails, and then go underneath the stitch on the jacket and pull your needle through, pulling your tail through. You're just going to go ahead and do this all the way across. Since there is no second tail, or just, well, how about I just come back? I'll finish the rest of this offline, off camera. I can't get my words straight in my head. And when I come back, then I'll show you how to make the knot. I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm on my last stitch. I'm going to go through the tail, through the jacket, just like you have already, and do a whip stitch. Then you're going to go through that same stitch, tighten up your yarn a little, then you have this loop. You're going to take your needle, no, you can't see, but you're going to go on the back side of the loop and pull your yarn through, and then pull it really tight. There's your knot. So now I'm going to weave this in, and then I'll be right back. Okay. So once you've got that done, you should have something that looks like this. I'm going to zoom out just a little. . Okay, so you have your tails down here and your lapels up here. So now we're going to go ahead and sew this on the body. So leaving it flat like that, you're going to place Jack on the jacket. I put it up close to the neck. Then I find, Jack, you're too long. Okay, that looks better. I gotta zoom back in just a little. Okay, so you need to find where his waist is. And the bottom of the jacket needs to be around his waist. So you pull tight. Both of the corner bottom jacket parts back. Let's try that one again. Both of the corners on the bottom of the jacket need to be touching. So I'm going to take a stitch marker again, and I'm going to fasten the two together with my stitch marker. So you probably got, a half an inch. There's the base of the head, and here's the tail or the jacket. You probably got a good half an inch where it's not going to be up there. So his neck will show, but that's all right. So this long top tail, what I'm going to do with it for now is put it on my needle. I can't remember how I sewed this on. Just a minute. Okay, we're not going to worry about the top tail. We're going to worry about the bottom tail. And for right now, we're just going to go, we're going to sew the bottom part on him. So, put your tail on your needle, and you're going to go into the black part of the body, and then you're going to come up let me get situated there. Okay, so there's the needle. You see the needle right there? So go down into the body and you come up through the body and the jacket. And how I did mine last time, that's how I normally do them, is I go down through the jacket, through the body, and then I reach out. Oh, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, the 6th hole, and then come up through the body and through the jacket and make a little stitch. So now we're going to go back down we're going to go like backwards and go down through the jacket and through the body and come up somewhere else. say 3 holes down. Whoops. This is really going to be hard to do. Just take your time. What the goal is to make little tiny stitches here, there, and yonder. So now I go into the next stitch and come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About the 5th hole, now that we're on track, we can make little tiny stitches about every 4th to 5th hole. And you're just going to do that all the way around, just to make sure it stays on. And you won't be able to tell where the stitches are. That's good because it's black. Take this out. Okay, so now that I've done it like that, I'm going to take and I'm going to sew. Whoops, sorry. Okay, so this is how mine looks right now. There's a little gap right here. I don't want that showing. So I'm going to take and sew the 2 corners together. Just with a couple whip stitches. And then I'm going to go back down inside the jacket and through the body and come out the bottom. So now we have to sew some of the side on. Since we're at the bottom, we're just going to come up to where the corner of the jacket is. And do the same thing. Make a little stitch, come up, go down through the jacket, come up another hole about 4 or 5 stitches ahead. And you're only going to sew like halfway up the outside of the lapel. I'm just going to wrap this tail around his head. There, now he's got a necklace. Check it out. Okay, so now that I'm up halfway, I'm going to go down into the body, or through the jacket into the body, and I'm going to go clear over to the other side of the jacket. And pull my yarn out there. And then I'm going to do the same thing and make little stitches all the way down the jacket. I'm going to do that offline. So you go ahead and sew this side on. Make your knot. Hide your yarn inside the body and cut it off. Once I reach that point, I will return. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this top string tail is I'm going to weave it down the back just a little bit. To about right there. And then I'm going to stick it in through the body and come out another place and just hide it in my work. Because we don't need this tail. And then once I'm satisfied it's hit a little bit in there, I'm going to pull on my yarn, hold it tight, cut as close as I can, and snip it off. So the next part is the spider. We're going to put a bow tie on. Let's see. So the spider's going to go right here in the middle of the jacket at the top. I'm going to put my eyes so that they're facing downward. I'm going to take this little tail and I'm going to put it on my hook, or on my needle, I'm sorry. And then I'm going to center it and then push the needle all the way to the back. And that will hold it in place for a little bit. So now you're just going to take your long needle or your long hook, and we're going to sew the spider on. And it would probably be easier just to zoom out. Let me move a couple things. Okay, so I'm going to go down through the spider into the neck. And then I'm going to turn it over and make sure I'm not coming through any stitches and bring that needle all the way through. So then go down in the same hole that you came out of and watch where you're coming out and go through the spider. Move over to the next stitch and do the same thing. Once you're satisfied with that one, you're going to go back in that same hole, find your next stitch on the spider, and come out there. And make sure you don't get your other little tail tangled up like I just did. And this is all you're going to do all the way around. Or I should say, this is all you're going to do all the way around the body. You just want to sew on the base of the body. I'm going to do it off camera. I'll come back when it's when I'm close to the edge, because we are going to put a little bit of stuffing in there, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got that all, well, almost all done. So you just need a little tiny piece of stuffing. And you need to roll it up into a ball if you can. And then I left like maybe 3 stitches, and then we're going to stuff it. And there, it should be pretty, yeah, it's pretty firm. So now what we need to do, because I took my needle off my off my yarn, just going to go ahead and put it back on the yarn. And then we're going to finish sewing the spider on. Okay, so I'm just going to finish sewing the bow tie on, the spider bow tie. I'm on my last stitch now. And what you want to do is you want to come out the same hole as your other tail has came out of. So now you need to double knot it, hide your yarn into your work, and pass it off. And once I come back, we'll put the button on. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in and show you what the bow tie should look like. Did a pretty good job. So now we're going to do the button. And the button goes right there where the two ends, oh, can't even see. Zoom out just a little bit, maybe move in. Okay, so it goes right there where the two ends of the jacket meet. So it ain't no different than anything else. Take the little yarn, stick it in somewhere right there, and bring it out the back somewhere. Do make sure you're coming out a hole, because this is white yarn and you will be able to see it. And then you take your long tail, I start off with moving my crap. Sorry. Going inside the body, coming out a hole, going in the same hole, and then coming up through both loops of the stitch. And now I'll go down both loops of the next stitch and repeat the process. So I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera. Once you get your button sewn on, make sure you bring it out to where the short tail is, knot them together, hide your yarn in your work, and fasten off. And once mine is done, then we'll be back and we will put the fingers on the hands. We're almost done, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, so there's what the button looks like. Yeah, I give up. Okay, so now we need to do the hands, sewing the fingers on, and then sewing the arms on. So put Jack aside, because we only need him for a little bit. Get your hand, your fingers out. You should have 4 fingers per hand. There should be 2 small ones and 2 longer ones. Okay, so you have, let me zoom in just a little. You have 2 options. Okay, so I've already done one arm, one hand, and this is what I came up with. Okay, I'm zoomed in too close. Okay, so this is what I came up with. His fingers are just a little bit apart, just like 1 row apart. Or on the very first Jack that I made, here is his hand, where I put them closer together. So you can choose which way you want them. Further apart, like it is on this hand, or close together, like it is on this hand. So I'm going to do the further apart since I already have one that is far apart. You will need your pins, and I normally use 4 pins. And what I do is I start with a long finger, put the yarn on the hook, or on the needle, I'm sorry. I really want to crochet and I can't. Then I find the very first circle, I made it all blurry. Okay, so this very first circle is where you started with the hand. Oops. There, that's better. Let me zoom out just a little. Okay. So this very first circle, I've said that like 100 times already. That's where we're going to put the hand as a finger. So I'm just going to find a hole. You need to make sure that your hand is straight. You go down in a hole and you bring your finger up. And once you have your finger up, you're going to take your 4 pins and not poke yourself like it just did. And you're going to place them in the fingers. So what I do out is I place them one in front, one in back, and then I turn it to the side and I place one in front and one in back. So there's 4 pins in my finger. And just like everything else, we're just going to sew it on. So I'm going to sew this on off camera, and once I come back, then I'll show you what's next. Okay, so once you have your finger on, you like that, it'll look like that. And I just took the end and pulled it out somewhere. So now you need to take your other long finger, put it on your needle too, and go straight across from the one you already put on and repeat it. Uh-oh. So I kind of twist them around until they look good. Then I put my pins in. Three pins should be enough. Okay, so then when you do your little fingers, well, how about it? I'll just go ahead and sew this other middle finger on, and then I'll come back and show you where to put the little fingers. I'll be right back. Okay, now I have both my middle fingers put on, and just like normal, just like the other stuff we put on, I came out the hole with the other tail, and I just double knotted it. Now I'm going to cut the excess yarn off, and then I'll hide that into my work in just a little bit. So these little fingers, they go down beside, it would be like your pinky or your thumb, and it'll be like this. One here, and then one over here. So I'm going to do those off camera. I'm going to pull both the tails out at one spot, double knot them together, and then hide them in the hand. So now I can say, peace! Oh, sorry. Can't resist that. So once I get the fingers put on, then when I come back, we will sew the arms to the body. Woohoo! And then we'll be done. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, we got the fingers all on. So now we need to sew on the arms. So you need to turn him over on his side, and starting from the top of the jacket, you have your single crochets and then your double crochets. You start with this row of single crochets and you count 1, 2, 3 rows. 3 rows down is where we're going to place the arms. You need to put it up close to the lapels. And then I take my needles or my pins and I place one on each end and sometimes one in the middle. Oh no, these are pretty small. Yeah, that'll work. Oh, and I've already messed up. Let me take these off. Okay, so first off, you need to make sure. Sorry, there's a bunch of stuffing just sticking out there. Okay, so where you do your color change, which is right here on mine, you need to make sure that that's facing towards the back. Or if you can, on the inside, but I can't, so it'll just be facing towards the back. So I turned it around, I'll put my pins back in, and then for this first stitch, we're just going to go down into the body like normal. I need this light now. I hope that's not too bright, but I can't see and crap. My battery's going to go dead. Okay, so you come back up through the little holes on top of your arm, and then you go over the top of your arm and back into your work. And you do that all the way across. Hopefully I make it to the end of the arm before my battery dies. If not, I'll be back with a new battery. And I'm on my last stitch. Okay, so now that I've done my last stitch, now I'm going to go in again, and we're going to come up. Whoops, sorry, this is really hard for me to see. come up along the side. Let me take these pins out. So you come up along the side, and we're going to make a stitch there too. And then we're going to go clear in the front. I should have done this beforehand. Clear in the front and come down the side of this arm. And then I'm going to bring it out the belly. And that arm is sewn on. Now, just like with everything else, go ahead and sew on your other arm. Go down 3 rows from the top, close to the lapel. Sew your arm on, and I will be back. So it's all done. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Please hit the notification bell and put it to all. If you're watching this video today on Christmas, by the way, Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you all had a wonderful day and lots of presents. We had a little family Christmas today. It wasn't much. Kimmy just got her presents and opened them, but our big family Christmas isn't until next month. Too many people going out of town. So if you're watching this today, December 25th, 2022, then I'm on break from crocheting with tennis elbow. It is slowly healing. I don't know if I'll make it be done healing by the time my 2 months is up, but we'll see. I'm just not doing hardly anything with it unless I have to. I'm telling you, that's something else to try and get used to, considering I use my left hand just as much, if not more, than my right hand. But anyway, please subscribe, hit that notification bell all. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Share it if you want. Even better, leave me a comment. I'm so sorry it took so long. Just too many things. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Hit me all at once, and I couldn't do anything. Depressed me terribly bad. And this is the holidays. My depression's really bad, Thanksgiving through New Year's, so there's that too. So, I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, and I hope you all have a Happy New Year. Don't forget, I have one more tutorial coming out after this one. It's the Mario blanket. He'll be up probably by next week. Please be safe out there if you're traveling. Please keep crafting, crocheting, and knitting. Until next time, bye.